Hi, I'm Wayne Wally, the editor-in-chief of Rental Management. I'm here today with Matt Fearon, the president of Genie, a Terex brand, to talk a little bit about what's going on in the aerial equipment industry. Matt, thanks for joining us today. And I think what I wanted to start with as a question, in some ways, to me, it feels like 100 years since Ansi started redoing the standards, and they finally were published, and now we're looking at implementation in December. What do these new ANSI standards mean to you as an equipment manufacturer, and what are they going to mean to a rental store?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm with you. It feels like it took a long time to get the standard complete. As a manufacturer, I can tell you we're very happy that it is complete. If you just kind of take a step back and look at what's going on, what they're doing is they're basically establishing kind of a global standard. Okay, this is one step closer. There's still some regional differences, but for a manufacturer, that's a good thing. Okay, uh, we're ready. We've been ready. We've known it's been coming for several years, and we looked at it very differently. We looked at it not just to meet the standards. We looked at it how can we anticipate what's going to happen when the standard comes out. Um, in particular, introducing load weighing in the North American market, that's a big difference, okay? We've had that in Europe, so we have a lot of experience with it. But the marketplace, the construction industry is used to the way these machines work, and it's going to change, and they're going to notice. So we tried to anticipate exactly what's going to happen, and that's the whole genesis of this XC product line that we have. We decided, hey, they're going to be putting routinely more than the 500 pounds. We actually know it because we put machines out there with telematics, and we can tell that they're routinely putting more on the machines that are in the market today. They can,
Yep.
okay? But the machines of the future, when they meet the new standard, they will shut off, okay? So we use that as an opportunity to redesign the product line, and we made it simple for our customers. If you look at the Genie XC range, they know automatically that meets the new standard, and they know it's 1,000 pounds restricted or 600 pounds full envelope. So
Right.
for a guy at a rental desk, that's important. When they call up and they want a machine to have no confusion about what the capacity is, we
Right.
think it's important. And
Yes.
also, we use it as an opportunity to improve the control systems that are on the machines. So we
Yes.
had enough time to build in the functionality to pick up the slope that we'd have to be able to tell what kind of slope, be able to control the load, just build in a lot of functionality into the machines as that standard came out.
Now, you've had, like you say, load sensing on machines in other areas outside of North America. Why isn't it already on machines that are being sold in North America? Is this all going to be brand new now to meet these standards?
Yeah, it's brand new. I think there's the the ANSI standard did not require that you had it, and what they did is they had some more stringent slope requirements, and it was you had to test the machines more stringently. So at the time they were putting the standards together, they made a lot of sense. The machines have demonstrated that they're safe. They have been safe, but now they're kind of raising the bar, and they're saying, okay, let's make sure that we are using the latest technology that's available. So that's mandating that these changes come through. We decided not to go with the system that we have been using in Europe because we've learned a lot about what the way the machines have been used in Europe and
Yes.
what customers have told us in Europe. So we used it as an opportunity to innovate.
Now, I mentioned earlier how this is going to impact rental stores, and you talked about the clerk or person that's going to customer service rep that will start getting these calls. Hey, why isn't this machine working? You always worked before because of load sensing. How does load sensing work, and how should rental stores be prepared for that?
Well, I think that we're all in the value chain, okay? And the manufacturers have a piece of responsibility that's very clearly described in the standard, and the rental companies do as well. So they need to get familiar with what the requirements are. We've gone out of our way for a long period of time to try to make that easy. If you go on the Genie website and you look, we have all the pertinent information that you need
Yes.
to know as a rental company. And so we did that intentionally. They also need to be aware that there's training for their team members, that will get the awareness up to where they need it to be so that they understand what the requirements are. And then just for the way the machines function, they function differently, right? If you overload the machine, which can be putting too much weight in it or coming up underneath a beam and overloading it, the machine will shut down. They need to understand when that call comes in what the proper way to handle that is. So pretty big change for the booms. When you get to scissors, it's a little bit more subtle. It comes into the wind rating, indoor and outdoor. Again, we've taken a position where if you own a Genie, we don't want you to have to figure out, hey, is this being used indoors or outdoors? We want to avoid that if we can, because it's another complexity that the rental companies don't need to manage. So we tried to make sure that we had machines that could be used on any job site. And I think with scissors, it'll be a little bit simpler.
Now, one of the other changes to your machinery is the use of telematics. And telematics, it seems, would also be of help to a rental store in that when somebody calls and says, hey, this machine's not working, they can look something up and say, yeah, you've been overloading it. That's why.
Yeah.
All you have to do is reduce your load. It'll work fine. Is that part of the thinking behind expanding what you do, telematics?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited about what we're introducing with the Lift Connect, and one of the main things that we're pushing for there is, I talked earlier about our product designs being purposeful innovation. With the telematics, what we've pushed the team to, it has to be actionable information. Okay, because you can get so much information off of these machines, but what does a rental company really need to know? Okay, they need to know where it is. Okay, so they can find it to pick it up. They need to know some simple things about it, like what's the state of charge on the batteries? Was there a fault code off of the engine? Make it simple for them. And we actually have done, the large rental companies around the world, they're way down the road. They didn't really need as much help from us. They needed a device on there. Some of the smaller and mid-sized ones, they need our help. And we've been able to package that into dashboards that are very configurable so they can be up and running with the latest technology. And I think it's going to change the way service is done on these machines. Everybody's got the same problem, right?
Yes.
There's not enough service mechanics to cover these huge fleets.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to reduce the number of service calls and make the service calls more efficient. Send them notices that say, hey, your annual inspection's due in 2 weeks. Then you can plan your trucks, okay? You can plan the parts that you're going to need to do that annual inspection.
Yeah.
That's where rental companies are going to start to see the efficiency, and it's there, okay? It's just been a matter of time for the industry to be ready to do it.
Now, it seems the aerial equipment industry, I guess you weren't on the first adopter range then for telematics, because mostly earth moving equipment was in the beginning and a lot of that information was used to improve that equipment. So how or why is telematics now more accessible to you to use, or why did you decide that we need telematics?
Well, I think the reality is over the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, rental companies around the world have been experimenting with telematics. And during that same time, we've been studying how they're actually using it and how they're driving return. And it's becoming clearer that there's certain things, that actionable information that will drive the adoption. Okay. At the same time, the cost is coming down. Okay, it's like everything with technology. Yes. At first it's cost prohibitive. Who's going to spend a couple $100 on a $10,000 scissor lift and manage a huge fleet of them? So as the cost of the hardware and the cost of the subscription have come down, and running in parallel, people are understanding how to turn that into a financial return. I think the timing is right. So that's why I think it took a while for the industry to get there, but I think you're not going to see it slow down.
Now, and then you said it'll be a 3-year subscription when you buy a machine. But lifts do last like 10, 15, 20 years. Do people then have to renew that subscription?
Yeah, they have a choice. They can come buy in for the years 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right now, or they can get to the end of the first 3 years, having tested it out, and then they can extend. So, yep, that's part of the package.
Now, the other thing that seems to be going on with aerial equipment is how it gets power. Now, when I visited Genie, when you had your event up in Redmond, Washington, a lot of hybrid stuff. You had some very interesting hybrid drives that were going to take down the cost of fuel, the cost of operation, and all that. But then there's also been a lot of development when you talk about battery technology. How's that impacting your machines, and where do you see the power for lifts going?
Yeah, there's again, similar to the telematics, it's where the battery technology is evolving, starting in the auto industry. It's moving to other industries like golf carts and forklifts. We're seeing the cost of the lithium batteries start to come down. We're also seeing the advancements in the electric wheel drives. And so all that couples together to where anything in our, for the aerials, scissors and booms, and somewhat in the telehandlers, I think you're going to see this migration to more hybrid or fuel electric is what we call ours, the FE. We're having great success with it. There's a high level of interest, and the machines that we're putting out. What we're making sure of is that we don't compromise the performance of the machines. And there's a lot of tricks there, So when you look at hybrids, not all hybrids are equal. The first thing I do when I look at a hybrid is I'm like, okay, how's that going to perform in cold weather? And I'm looking at the efficiency of the drive all the way from whatever your power source is to the wheel. Have they really optimized that? Because if you haven't, I don't think you're doing as good a job as you could. And if you come down and look at what we've got down there, I feel like the engineers that we have really studied where we could go and making sure that we're translating that into better performing machines. But it's all around that electric drive and the battery technology that makes it possible. On the booms, the other thing is as the engine tier changes came in, the cost of the engine relative to the cost of the machine just went up, and the complexity went up.
Yes.
And so we took a hard look at that, and we said, okay, for a rental fleet, they need it to be as simple as possible, and they need to be able to dispose of it when they're done. So we've taken an approach where we're looking at the life cycle of the machine, knowing that, hey, it's going to be easier to move some of these 24 horsepower machines offshore at the end of life. So there's a lot involved in kind of mastering the hybrids, but I think our team has done a really good job, and we're excited about it, and we're committed to it.
Very good. Now, in terms of all the different technological advances that are going on in the aerial space or whatever, what does that mean to rental again? Is rental still your chief market? Are you starting to explore and open new markets for your machines? Where does rental fit in?
Rental's still it. It's, if you look in the developed markets, North America, Europe, it's rental, big and small. You look at new markets, some of them start out with a distribution, but as they grow, they migrate to more of a rental model. They're kind of a perfect machine for the rental model, right? Because, people are doing the work at height at certain phases. There's a small retail piece of it that will always be out there, but I still see rental driving our industry.
Now, back to all these advances with power and this, and actually with the Ansi rules, what does that do for safety? Obviously, falls are one of the key fatality rates when you look at all the OSHA statistics. What does this do for making aerial equipment safer?
I think, I've been in the aerial business for 25 years. I think they just keep getting safer and safer. I think everybody is doing their part in a responsible way. You can see it from the major contractors. They're getting more serious about what are the hazards that are out there. They're coming to the manufacturers and saying, hey, we need some solutions. You can see that the manufacturing companies are really digging in and saying, okay, what can we do? You still got to be able to work at height. You got to get the job done, but can we make it safer? And if you look, there's all kinds of advancements just in the last 5 years for safety, and I think that you'll continue to see that. It's an emphasis for everybody, and it's really what keeps the industry alive, is that the fact that we have a solution that is more productive and it's safer. That's why aerials have a long runway for global use.
It's an interesting time to be in the industry, and even with rental has been kind of slow to adopt some technologies, but you're starting to see even United Rentals is out there looking at autonomous machines.
Yeah.
Bobcat is looking at artificial intelligence. How can you make machines to take care of repetitive tasks? So I'm sure that's on your radar screen as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of that. We have a technology roadmap, and within our factories, we're looking at, there's labor shortage. It was in 2018, it was hard to find welders, so you're seeing us put a lot more robotic welding and the material automatic guided vehicles, increasing that, getting information off of our lines. So the depth and breadth of technology is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's exciting too.
Well, very good. Well, Matt, I appreciate it. That's it for this installment, and we appreciate the time of Matt Fearon, the president of Genie, a Terex brand out of Redmond, Washington.